This isn't the best quality, but you get the idea. So if you, let's say if you have racing stripes or something on your car, you can probably tape the edge of it, but you just want to be careful, like this GT3 decal. I just don't feel confident just putting a piece of tape over it. So what I'm going to do is take this envelope, I'm going to cut it out, so that way I'm taping the envelope rather than, yeah, rather than having the emblem pull off when I, yeah. Took me too long to get that stupid emblem on there. And then some guy, I don't know why I didn't think of this, but then some guy, you know, a guy much smarter than me said, why don't you apply the decal like you're supposed to? You're supposed to wet the surface down, and then when you put the decal on a wet surface, you can slide it around and get it where you want it. You know, I was like, dang it. I was like, I'm like, dang, why didn't I think of that? That's so simple. Just an idiot. Oh, shoot. Well, anyway. Yeah, subtle.
Matt's motto, don't be an idiot.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Well, apparently I am stupid. Because, yeah, all right. Now I know. Live and learn, right?
Yeah.
That's why I put this crap out there, so that way other people will show me the error of my ways. Right. The only problem is it's kind of annoying when people try to tell you that you're wrong when you're not even remotely wrong, because they're stupid. Like, for instance, don't ever spray out your engine bay. Well, why not? Uh-oh. What's it going to do? Your engine bay is, you know, water hits the bottom of it. What's the difference if it hits the top of it? You can't win them all, you know?
They assume new cars are as dirty as old cars
now. Now, yeah, if you have a 1964 Impala, you probably don't want to spray out. You barely even want to wash those cars, because then the water gets down in the crevices. That's why waterless washes are so popular for older cars, because your water gets down in the crevices and then it rusts. You know, new cars, they're channels and areas where, yeah, and then there's a lot of plastic, so. So I just polished this out here, so I'm not worried about getting this little area. I just don't want to blow through the badge. I also polish behind the plate, so normally I'd take the plate off, but the holes there are sort of self-tapping, and I have a feeling if you take the plate off too much that eventually you're going to strip it out. So I'm going to leave it on for this one because I just polished it when I put the badge on.
The lights?
Yeah.
Okay.
The entire light. So again, taping isn't about precision, it's about just get it done. I have a hard time doing anything imprecise, but this is one of those areas, just do it. Just get it over with, just slap some tape on there. If it's crooked, if it's jumbled up, just get it on there, and as long as it served the purpose of covering up the spot, then you should be just fine. No one's gonna, it's almost a shame that we spent an hour polishing this thing out, or I'm sorry, taping this thing off, and what, 5 minutes later we're taking the darn tape off that we spent an hour putting the tape on and 5 minutes polishing an area, especially as good as the paint condition is in right now. See, and that's the hope with this whole, this is kind of overkill of polishing the paint out. But the hope is that your paint always looks perfect, or darn close to perfect. So if you take proper care in the washing and regular maintenance, then this should be easier. It's still necessary though. If you want to maintain it and keep it looking good, you need to you need to, unfortunately, spend the time and go through this step. Notice I'm getting some tape everywhere. As long as the tape touches the paint first. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't stick to this stuff very well. I'd like to host a Cars and Coffee here in the Villages. Actually, put one together. And then from the Cars and Coffee, I'd like to start doing seminars. Just have 10 people. We'd come in and you get a donor car, whoever wants to have their car detailed. And we can do, if I have 10 people, you can knock out a car in 4 or 5 hours and do sort of little 10-person detailing seminars on exactly what we're doing here now. And I think a Cars and Coffee in the Villages would be really big. Now, most of it's not going to be my kind of cars, but whatever, cars are cars.
What is Cars and Coffee?
It's like just like the old car cruise. You just kind of go out to a place in the morning. It's in the morning rather than the evening, at night, late at night. So you just go and everybody parks and hangs out and talks about their cars and they go home. Because what I don't like to do is, like the Porsche Car Club and the BMW Club, these guys will want to go to dinner. I don't want to freaking go to dinner. So what happens is we go to the Olive Garden. A bunch of guys with $100,000 cars are going to the Olive Garden, right? You can call me a snob if you want. But so we're driving these, $100,000+ cars, and we're going to meeting at the Olive Garden. Everybody's already there, right? So you go there, and people kind of walk in as soon as they get there. So you're just parked in a general parking lot, which basically makes me twitch anyway if I'm trying to park in a regular parking lot. Some goof in a minivan parks next to me. But so that's probably part of the reason why I don't like it. But then you're going and I don't want to go have dinner with you. I don't want to have. You're lucky I want to have dinner with my family. I just want to go and let's talk about cars and let's hang out and we take our mutual interests. Instead, you're going to go in and have a freaking endless soup and salad at the nasty Olive Garden. It's just stupid. Yeah, right. I'd rather go to Taco Bell than Olive Garden, for gosh sakes. Come on. So, okay, if we're going to go have dinner, let's go have dinner at a decent place. But the problem is most of the clubs, the guys that are really the biggest enthusiasts, and I love them to death, but they have some 1982, 944 or whatever year those things were built, and it's got a coat of primer on it, and he loves it to death. You can't fault him for that, but it's just not what I'm interested in doing. So I learned that the whole car club scene is not for me. It's for somebody, not for me. So Cars and Coffee is cool because you can cruise up, you can talk to whoever you want to talk to, and you go home. Hang out, talk about cool cars. You actually get to see people's cars, talk about cars, and you're not going to have to sit there and wait and order dinner. It's retarded. Anyway, so that's my opinion on that.
Some people like to talk.
Yeah, well, I only like to talk to the camera, apparently. Because the camera doesn't talk back.
I'll take the hint.
I like to talk about detailing. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, it's just weird. It's awkward. I don't want to sit there and talk about your kids and stuff. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about my kids. I don't want you knowing anything about them. They're my kids.
That's true.
They're not your kids. Chances are, if you want to know something about my kids, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a little shady.
Especially when we first met or you
You know, I think it's it's probably one of my fatal flaws in life is that I'm just not interested in maybe personal connections as much as normal people are, and that's probably why I don't like going to car club meetings. This is stupid. I'm trying. I got you guys here, so I'm already making progress. Because normally I'd be doing this all by myself.
Normally you'd be talking to the camera. Now
Right. So this is big. This is a big step for me. Now, granted, I have to pay you guys with some sort of, in order to convince anybody to come hang out with me, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, I'm not paying you.
You're just paying my brother.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him.
Detailing, once you get 12, 13, 14 hours in, it's like, all right, it's like I'm done with this. So the beauty of hiring or having you guys here or bringing people in to help me with it is right when I start to get to that point of, all right, I'm done, it's done. I'm also taping off the clear film around the rear fenders so don't hit it with the polisher and turn it white. Detailing, once you get 12, 13, 14 hours in, it's like, all right, it's like I'm done with this. So the beauty of hiring or having you guys here or bringing people in to help me with it is right when I start to get to that point of, all right, I'm done, it's done. I'm also taping off the clear film around the rear fenders so don't hit it with the polisher and turn it white. Yeah, tape that too, but it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, I know.
That's done. Cool thing about blue is when you do shine it up and put some wax on it, unlike white, and looking different, maybe a little bit different, but this blue just pops. I actually prefer a little bit darker blue, but this is pretty close to my favorite color.
You said you had a pre-order and this one just popped up?
Yeah, I I was getting, my Carrera S was messed up, so that's what allowed me to at least consider getting this. Because when I bought my Carrera S, you couldn't get these, and then they had the issues with the engines catching on fire. So they recalled all the cars, did stop sales on the ones that were heading out or being shipped out, and so a lot of people backed out of their, the cars. So it made them available. So I was having a problem with my Carrera S. It just wasn't fixable, and it was driving me crazy. I knew I was going to lose a bunch of money if I traded it, but I just decided to do it. And so I was ordering. I got an allocation in Ocala to order a 2015, which is what I really wanted because I wanted the sport bucket seats. And then, as I was literally ordering the car from Ocala, I'm on the phone with them, giving them a $5,000 non-refundable deposit. I get a call from my guy in Orlando, and I said, hold on, Michael, let me call you back. So I pick it up. I was like, hey, Heiner, what's going on? My sales guy who sold me my Carrera. And he said, you're not going to believe this, but a GT3, exactly what you were telling me you were looking for, just showed up. I'm like, what do you mean it just showed up? He's like, it was a car that a guy ordered. We didn't even know it was coming, and he backed out of it. And then the guy that was taking his spot, we can't get a hold of him. So I said, well, send me the specs, but I don't think I'm interested because I've already got a 2015 on order. I want the bucket seats anyway, or I'm about to order one. So he's like, all right, well, I'm going to send you the specs. So as I'm getting ready to call Ocala back, the specs come, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, oh, yes, check. And I really wanted this blue, but I was going to chicken out and get, because there was only one of them around in this color in like the world, and there was a few crappy pictures online. Well, no, I wanted blue, but I was just chickening out because I knew I would love white. White you can't go wrong with white on a sports car. And I wanted blue, but I was too chicken to do it. And as I'm looking at the specs, I'm like, yes, I want carbon ceramics. There was some non-negotiables. There was a bunch of extras on this, so it was probably $10,000 more than what I wanted it to be. But now everything it has, I'm glad that I got. LED headlights, the front axle lift system. The only thing is there's a few goofy things in here, like the extended leather door package that was like $800 that includes like 2 little pieces of leather. There's the light design package, which is a complete waste of money. It's just a few LEDs like in the in the car. It's like $600, $590 or $690 or something like that. But it was, other than that, it was pretty much perfect. I wanted black wheels, but these still look pretty sweet too. So it worked out. I said, well, give me $5,000 more than what the other place was giving me on my Carrera S. And they said, all right, give me 10 minutes. He came back and said, they gave me $4,000 more. And I said, well, what about that other 1,000? He said, and I said, well, I'm not going to lose the car over 1,000. I gave him my credit card to put a deposit. I went down the next day and picked it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long were you going to have to wait?
5 months or so. So I would have gotten the car last month probably, or maybe the month before. So my allocation was for March. So.
We wouldn't even be here.
So I've had the car for 6 months instead. Well,
the windshield as well?
No. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that because the polish, like I said, won't hurt the windshield. So, and the windshield.
No trim.
Yeah, just the trim. So we're good. Now we can start polishing. Let me get the camera ready. Okay, so now we're all taped up. We're ready to start polishing. And the way clear coat works is you see that, can you see the orange peel like in the light?
Yeah.
If you see the light, you can see the orange peel. So the new types of paint that they use they're not oil based like they used to be or chemically based, they're water based. So because of VOC, just having the proper emission standards and stuff, they don't use the same old school paint that they used to. The problem with that is that it orange peels, so no matter, even though they do this electrostatic process where they charge the metal and then they put the primer on and the paint is attracted to the, in fact, a lot of factories, I think they still spray these, but a lot of them, they just dip the paint and it's electrically charged and it sticks to the, thing. Well, clear coat, when it's applied in several coats traditionally, when it's applied, because it's water-based, when it dries, it gives you these sort of, it's almost like little bumps, little ridges. So what I could do is I could wet sand that and straighten, flatten it out. So I could, get a piece of sanding paper and wet sand it and then polish it. But then the problem is I'm removing a bunch of the clear coat. So in order to get, so if it looks like this, in order to make it look like that, I've got to chop the top off. So then I'm chopping off a pretty significant layer of the paint. And you can do that if you're a real expert, you can do it. Yeah, so you can flatten out the clear coat, but then you're removing probably 30, 40%, maybe 50% of the clear coat in order to get it nice and flat and smooth and mirror shiny. And there are some really reputable, some really high-end detail shops that'll do that. They'll charge you $4,000 or $5,000 to do it because it takes them a while. They have to take the lights out and take the whole car off, and it takes hours and hours and hours because now you got like multiple 3, 4 stages of paint correction. So if I had a scratch in the paint, or if I had swirls in the paint, swirls are just little scratches, right? So because I'm not going to wet sand it, because I'm just going to deal with the orange peel, I'm not going to try to get that out because then I really can't polish it too many times after that. The paint just isn't thick enough to wet sand. So if I had a scratch or swirls, now I can get that out because I don't have to, if the paint looks like this and there's a little scratch, maybe it's only skin deep, I can get that, I can get that scratch out, but I can't necessarily take enough paint off to get the orange peel out. So because I don't have any scratches, we don't really need to get an aggressive polish. So the most aggressive polish I have, actually, the most aggressive polish I have is a different one, but this is called a compound, right? So this is what's called a microabrasive compound, so if I wet sanded the car, when you wet sand it, it'll actually turn dull, and it'll be, you'll be like, oh my gosh, you just ruined the paint.
Yeah.
And so it'll dull out the clear coat, because there's little sanding marks. So what the compound will do then is it will remove up to 1,200 grit sanding marks. So a normal wet sanding grit would be like 3,000 or maybe 2,500. This can remove pretty aggressive sanding marks. So if I was at the factory, you wet sanded the car, then you would get a compound and actually do a compound and polish. This stuff is really good. It breaks down the more you go over it. So it's real aggressive and then comes medium and then becomes real sort of a minor abrasive. So this stuff actually finishes really well. Whereas this Power Gloss 1000 is a compound, not quite as aggressive as this in the start, but this doesn't break down. So this one will only make it look sort of moderately shiny. And then you need to follow with something less aggressive. So we don't need to do a compound because the car looks great. I can't even see a scratch. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 somewhere, but the paint is dialed in. So we're gonna go right to the very finest ultra finishing polish, and we're gonna go to a pretty soft pad, okay?
Nice.
So for your car, the first time you did it, you would probably wanna use something like a 1500 or an FG400. You'd wanna compound it.
Really?
So you'd compound it to get all the swirls and scratches and everything out of it.
A lot of those.
Then you would then do sort of like an SF4000, a finishing polish, or a 4500. So my old
SFIP, what is?
It's just the final fast gloss. SF is super finish. That's just what I call it.
Gotcha.
So this is a good old fashioned. This is a good combination. So this is the compound, and you finish with this. So this will be a 2-step. We're going to do a 1-step, okay. 1-step polish. 2-step would be I got to compound it, get the swirls, get the scratches out. I would do that with a microfiber pad. I like cutting with microfiber.
And a polisher.
So yeah, you would put that on that polisher. Okay. You'd set it to crank it up to 6, and you're going for it. You can't hurt the paint though because it's a random orbit. So this is a microfiber cutting pad. Yeah, I'm going to show you that in a second.
Those are okay.
And then I like to finish with foam. So here's a finishing foam pad. Notice it's pretty soft in comparison to here's a more aggressive polishing pad. See the difference?
Oh yeah.
So we're going to use this today because the paint looks really good. The only way that you can learn this stuff is you just have to try. It's just trial and error, you know.
As long as, like, you're saying there's no way to fail with
You can't, I mean, if you're using a heavy aggressive compound and you go, you know, you sit there, you're taking some of the clear coat off. You just don't want to, you want to compound the car once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
You don't want to compound it. You could probably compound this car before you started really hitting some low. I have the complete set of Rupes polishers. This thing is, I don't know, $450, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can buy a Porter cable. So with polishers, this is called a, you know, this is a random orbital polisher, but this has a 21 millimeter orbit. So the orbit of this is much bigger than a traditional polisher. Traditional polisher is like a, they're called DAs or dual action polishers. They're dual action because they rotate and I forget what they move in a random orbit, let's say. The orbit is much bigger, so it takes less time. So these are like the cutting edge, what all the pros are using, but they're super expensive. By the way, I have 4 of them. So, yeah, you know, I have a 21, a 15, a 12, and a 12. So I have all the different sizes. So this is not one you buy to start with. You buy like a Porter cable or a Griot's Garage are like 120 bucks, you know, 150 bucks. And then you got to buy some pads. So this one here is a 6-inch orbital that holds a 7-inch pad. So this is 7-inch in diameter. So the backing plate is called a hook and loop backing plate. Notice I have a line drawn right here. So what you'll see, you want to make sure it's rotating. It won't hurt anything if it's not rotating, but it's not doing anything if it's not rotating. You're just sitting there doing nothing, just vibrating in your hands. So that's the 7-inch pad, and then I've got the other ones, which we'll use for different. This one is actually probably the most handy. This is a 5-inch backing plate to hold 6-inch pads. And for the Porsche, because of the, I should say Porsche, no one yells at me anymore. For the Porsche, I always slip up on that. The 5-inch pads actually, or 6-inch pads actually fit the contours of the car a little bit better. So I got one of those. I don't think we're going to use this one. This is the Duetto, it's called. It's a 12 millimeter orbit. And then the Mini we might break out for a couple of things like on the front bumper. I got the Mini too. When you were here last time, I didn't have these. I bought these two last week. That and that. And we're going to use, and I bought new pads too, because remember we were breaking those other pads, we were blowing through them. So I bought new pads that are specifically designed to be used with these larger, longer throw, Italian made. I said German made on the last video, my bad. Italian made polishers. I prefaced that with, I'm not sure, I couldn't remember. It's hard when you're talking to remember things like, you know, off the top of your head sometimes. All right, so this is really complicated. You put some of this junk on there and you move it around. I'll show you.
Sounds like my kind of
Yeah, you can't mess it up. Especially when you're using a polish like this.
4500 ultra fine.
Yeah, because this isn't going to do a whole heck of a lot. So this step is what we call jeweling. So we're going to jewel the paint. So I'm putting a little polish on here. Again, not an exact science. Put a little extra on the first go around. You can butter it if you want to. I always do this. It limits the possibility of you flipping it all, flipping it all over the car. So I'm going to spread it. Always keep the thing around here because you don't want to drag this on the paint because you'll scratch it. So I'm going to spread it on setting 4, and I'm going to crank it up to setting 6. The max setting. So I'm using a pretty conservative, soft pad with a finishing polish, which should jewel out the paint nicely. So I'm applying some pressure. You know, I'm actually pushing on this. And then as I make successive passes, I'm going to release the pressure. So I'm pushing down. And, you know, I'm not grinding in, but you notice this is not pushed. So I'm pushing down on the pad. Moving at about this speed. You know, you don't want to be going like this because it's not doing anything. You want to take a slow speed. Notice my line is moving. Now my line is not. So if you push too hard, then it won't. You know, the line isn't moving, then you're not doing anything. You're not polishing anything. So I still have pressure. So I'm going in a path, and then I come back over the opposite way. It's called cross hatch. All right, so that was 3. Now I'm going to release pressure a little bit. Take a little bit more off. Now I'm actually going to lift it up a little bit. And then make sure you turn it off. If you lift it up while it's still moving, it'll shoot, you know, polish all across the car. So a couple of things you want to be careful of. You notice this area here. If you were doing a real aggressive polish, you don't want. This is where you could mess up the paint. You know, if you're just blasting out, like, you know, or there's a peak or something, like your car is square, so you have. Yeah, on the rear deck where it's curved, you got to be careful because if you hold it, you know, you think you're polishing the curve, but you're really polishing the top and bottom, and you're polishing the crap out of it. So go ahead and wipe that out. The other thing with a good polish like this Menzerna, I notice it's really easy to get off. Part of my complaint, like Griot's garage polish that I say is junk, because it is, it's so hard to get off. That and it doesn't really do anything. No. It's stuff that we used originally when I first started.
Is this the same stuff we used?
No, this is a little bit less aggressive. We use the 4000.
It's a little bit easier to get off.
Yeah. Feel that. It's like a dream.
Nice. Versus, oh wow.
See, a little grabbier.
Well, it's all the stuff
Part of it's the oil of the polish, right? It's the oil of the polish that makes it feel so smooth. But now, and there's not a huge difference, but it's just a little bit shinier because we jeweled out the paint. We're just almost reactivating the shine of the clear coat.
Does it matter if you kind of go over like some of the edges of your sections?
No. You want to, you know, again, you'd be better off re-hitting a spot than missing a spot. So you know, now if you were compounding, you'd probably want to make 8 or 9 passes. So you'd want to, you know, when you're using that FG400, you really want to work and get, you know, because here we're just kind of bringing out the shine of the paint. Whereas if you're correcting paint, you know, if there's scratches and stuff, then you want to,
Really work.
yeah, and if you get it under a light, and I actually have a light here. Believe it or not, my son lost this. I had to buy another one. I got to get new batteries, but so this is a high-end Fenix, like 1800 lumen light that you would take, and I don't have the batteries right now, but you would take and shine. Luckily, the lights in here are really good. And you would see, so the way that you learn how to polish is you have swirls, scratches, all different stuff in the paint. You've decontaminated it, you got it ready to go. It's raw paint, clean and ready to polish. Now you have to start experimenting with pads and compounds and what's going to work on your paint. One simple solution would be use FG400 with a microfiber cutting pad, and then you would follow with a softer foam pad and a finishing polish like this. So that's the story. So just for your benefit, you can watch as much of this as you want. After this, after I polish the whole car, so he'll follow me and wipe it down. After we polish the whole car, then we'll back it out, wash it, see, because you see all this. There's all this residue, from the polish. Even though it cleans up nicely, it'll be all over the windshield and everything. So we'll do a review. It needs to be really careful, a nice careful wash. Where we use the regular soap, the regular Adams soap. Then I'm going to come in after that, and you can use either.
So you like Adams products?
I like a lot of stuff. I mean, I have Adams, I have Griots, I have Menzerna. I try to use whatever's best. This is CarPro Eraser, so I'm going to use this. So this will be before we put the wax on. So I'm going to wash it, then we'll spray this on and get the rest of the the residue. This will get the rest of the oils from the polish to make sure you have a raw, corrected paint surface to put down your. Menzerna makes stuff too called Top Inspection. I like the CarPro better, and then. The simplest, cheapest thing is this is not speed shine. It's IPA alcohol, 20%, 20% dilution, so 20% solution. So you can even go buy a thing of, you buy the rubbing alcohol from the store. Walgreens, 91% IPA, and you dilute it in some regular old water. Okay. And then this also helps to strip the paint from the oils to make sure it's ready to. Ready to get your last step.
Polish, wash, spray, rinse, wax.
So this is what's on the car, or what was on the car. This is $200 for that. It smells delicious. This is a Carnauba wax. I think this is like a 50% Carnauba. So it's from like a Brazilian palm tree or something is where they create this stuff. It's good. This stuff really works well, but you're gonna laugh at this.
The chemical stuff.
Well, how much do you think this is?
$20.
$10, yeah, $12. $12 instead of $200, and I think that works better. So what we're going to do is and this is for whatever reason, this is an old standby combo. That's you guys, right? Barcode. So the old standby that I've used for quite some time is this combo. So what we do is we put a sealant down and top it with a wax. And this is, for whatever reason, the combo of these two. See, not all sealants and waxes play nice together. But this is like $30, and this is $12. I've had this for 6 years. That's how much I've used. So $12 isn't going to last for another 10 years of my life or so. No, I haven't. I stopped using it for a little while because I was using some fancy stuff. But as much as this stuff is good, I hate to say it, but the $12 Colonite, nobody even really knows what this stuff is. Whether it's not Carnauba, it is a wax of some sort. But it's called a Colonite 845, and it works like a dream. Beads water. See, I like the look of a Carnauba-based wax. I like the shine. The difference between a wax and, I just had it over here, and a sealant. So here's Sonax Polymer Net Shield. This is another really good sealant. It doesn't work as well in Florida because we have such horrible pollen. Pollen tends to clog it up. So these are synthetic sealants, right? So these are made out of some chemical, some chemically produced product. Sealants tend to bead water better, but they don't tend to protect quite as well as a wax, because a wax is leaving an actual layer on top. Yeah. where these tend to be, they're thinner, they're easier to apply, they're easy to work with, they tend to bead water a little better, they tend to last a little longer. But waxes, like especially like this Auto Finesse Desire, this Carnauba wax, gives you much more depth. So it makes the paint look the way that I want it to look. It looks like,
wet look.
yeah, that kind of wet, but real wet. It's hard to explain because then you also have, let me jump behind you, you also have coatings. This is OptiCoat 2.0. So this is a chemically based coating that bonds with the clear coat of the paint and actually creates a whole nother surface, a whole nother clear coat on top of the paint. Wow. These things work great. And if I was a pro detailer, I'd be all over this because then I could say, well, look, I'm going to detail your car. It's going to cost you $1,200. It's going to take me 2 days, 3 days to do it. And I'm going to coat it, and this is going to last for the rest of the life of the car. Versus, hey, I'm going to charge you $1,000. I'm going to put this wax on. And then 6 months from now, you got to come back to me. And I'm going to charge you another $800. And you're going to say, you're freaking crazy. So coatings have become so much more useful if you were in the detailing business. If I were you, I would probably coat my car, with something like that, like the OptiCoat, or actually I like CarPro, whatever it's called. So it's escaping me, C-Quartz. CarPro C-Quartz is this is a permanent solution, but C-Quartz looks a little wetter, so the wet look. So when you C-Quartz your car, it'll actually shine more, it'll look wetter, it'll reject water more, but it doesn't give you that same, it looks very, in my opinion, very synthetic. It doesn't look bad, it just looks different.
And then use that as a sealer.
And then you're done. And as long as you take good care of the paint, you won't
Never wax.
be 2 or 3, you wouldn't need to. The wax won't stick to it most of the time.
Okay.
OptiCoat does bond okay with wax, but I think C-Quartz doesn't play well with wax. And you don't really need, because then the wax just sort of washes off.
Is this stuff really expensive? Or?
This is like $40, and this will do like 4 or 5 cars. So you spend a little bit more, but then you're done. You never have to do it again. So it's a little bit harder to work with. It takes a little bit more. You wipe it on. You just have to make sure you don't end up with high spots. So you have to kind of have a light and make sure you're not. You don't end up with like a streak, because if it dries and there's a streak, it's going to dry as a streak. So you need to make sure you're kind of like. It's not hard. If it does dry as a streak, you just have to then polish it out. It'll come out, but you can't just wipe it off then. And like a lot of these C-Quartz, you can put layer after layer on it. OptiCoat, you can only put 1 layer because it won't stick to itself. It won't bond to itself. So coatings are sort of the newer thing that most people are using. So sealants had kind of replaced wax, and then now coatings have replaced sealants. But I still use a wax because of the way it looks. That some would argue, well, if you're so all about wax, why are you using this weird synthetic wax? Well, it's because it's better. It just works better. So, and I've tried some, $300-400 waxes, and this colonite stuff is awesome. I mean, you can't. Yeah, you can't. You beat it. And as much as I like wasting money, it's hard to beat the colonite. So we're going to put a colonite on the car. And then I'm sure I'll get bored with that and switch back to something else again, like Auto Finesse. But the great thing about Auto Finesse Desire, when you use it, it makes the whole garage smell fantastic. It's like one of my favorite smells in the world.
Check my pockets before I leave.
That's okay. I'm not really using it anymore. So that's the story on waxes and what we're I love these new pads. They're much better than the old pads I was using.
I can't wait to do my car proper.
It's fun as you learn, as you start figuring things out. Especially with, like I said, when the first time you do your car, it's like a night and day transformation. Even mine, like when I do my car, it's new. There's a huge difference. Yeah, people are always saying, what, your car's brand new and you're going to detail it? Well, yeah, because the dealership's going to jack it up. And a lot of times it's worse than it, yeah, the worst condition my car is ever going to be, the worst it's ever going to be is when it goes straight from the factory. Even a Ferrari, Lamborghini, it doesn't matter. These cars are all jacked up. Oops. Sure someone will yell at me for that. Dropping the power cord on the paint. It's so awesome.
I'll just have to do that, somebody.
Because then I have to stop a lot more. So this is the LHR 15, so this is the 15 millimeter orbit. It's just a smaller pad, a little easier to get into the, I'm gonna do the front bumper with this. Thanks.
Maybe use a little one to get here.
Yeah, I probably will. Let's see. This can get in there. You know, let me tape off these things first. Yeah, I didn't think that. So it doesn't get inside of there. The most worthless thing ever created. They're headlight squirters. They're required in Europe.
Because of the snow.
I got it. Who freaking knows? No. Stupid. Yeah. I'm not as anal about the, the front bumper as I am about the areas that you can see really well. Like I won't make as many passes and not get as bent out of shape. Plus, I've found that the plastic bumpers, they tend to not scratch as easily. This puppy I'm really excited about.
First run?
First run. Oh no, I take it back. I used it for on the license plate frame. Who? Oh, cool. Oh, that means our new microfiber towels are going to be here, I think, today. See if she drops a box off. Huh. And no box. Crap.
Well,
Well, did she walk?
Past, so it meant she had to have come
Okay.
past the mailbox. So maybe she
Sweet.
did bounce.
Well, let's go see if we got those towels. That's big news. All right, people. This is what you're hoping to. Some of you rich guys that watch my video are going to laugh at this, but normal people like the rest of us get super excited if something like this would happen. So imagine I'm detailing, teaching some guys how to detail my GT3, and a mail lady shows up with some new microfiber towels. Talk about a dream. All right. So this is from Microfiber Tech. So these are the same. This is where Microfiber Tech USA, this is where Phil, Detailer's Domain, buys a lot of his towels. So I ordered a bunch of these just to test out to see which ones I like. And actually a lot of them are cheaper to just buy from Phil. Oh yeah, so you feel that. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this will be used for detailing, detail spray. This is what I was wondering. This is their waffle weave.
It's like the interior of a nice winter jacket.
Yeah, right. I think this is a drying towel. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm going to do another video about this.
Was Matt ever a kid? Did he have Christmas?
Yes, I did. Christmas was one of my favorite things. Oh yeah. Ooh, feel that puppy. This is their velvet soft for interiors. Yeah, I'm gonna like those. I'm gonna order. These are like $6 a piece, though. That one's gonna be more expensive.
So what's you said it's cheaper to get from Phil?
Yeah, Detailer's Domain. Some of the towels, like these, because he'll buy. These are like $6 a piece. Oh no, we're still recording. These are like $6 a piece or something like that if you buy like 10 or 20 of them. But if you buy them from him, he buys 500 or 600 at a time, so he gets them for $250 and sells them for $350. And I'm happy to pay him.
Yeah. Nice.
I wanted to test all these out.
Details definitely a lot together. Or if you're going to be shipping your site out.
Yeah, Obsessed Garage. Oh, those are thick. Like that. I kind of like the idea of this. So that way you know which side you're using. Like if you're doing like a waterless wash or something, you use that side. Whereas sometimes you drop the towel and you're like, oh shoot, which side did I use? I like the idea of having that. These are what I think I'm going to use for the. Yeah, this is what I'm going to use for the windows.
Put like 1, 2, flip over 3, 4, flip the side out, 5, 6.
And this is going to be my new polish. You're not supposed to use towels until you wash them.
Just
But
give him that idea.
what are you saying?
The number. You literally have an anagram.
I actually think, I think someone's done that, yeah. You got 8 sides, yeah. See, that's why I've switched to these. That's why I want to switch to these towels with the heavy pile on both sides versus those. It's like a different, so that way you got 8 sides of the same pile. So I'm going to use these, I'm going to buy these green ones for polish. So I know this is for polish. And then these are the same, it's the same company as what I've had. Now I know where they get them from. And then I'm going to use these for waxes and spray on wax. These are the same towel, just different colors. Yeah, I'm psyched. I think I'm going to like this. This is the drying towel. I think I might even have to use those. Yeah, so I like waffle weave towels for drying.
Doesn't feel like it would be all that absorbent.
I know, well, we'll see. But they're cheaper than my Adams, those white ones we were using. Those are still my favorite, so I wanted to buy one of these to test it out. So anyway,
You wash them before you test them?
yeah. Because they'll bleed, you know, some, like, especially the colored ones will, you don't want to wash them with white or anything. So I got some towels from the rag company. I got some towels from Microfiber Tech. I didn't like the rag company stuff, and you know, a lot of people like those. I didn't like any of them, but I'll do another video on that. So anyway, I thought that was cool. Do this section for the GT3 guys. Be careful right here. You don't need to get all the way up to the edge. I might just, underneath the wing here, I might just leave this, yeah. It's not gonna do it. I could hand polish it, but I don't even care to do that. It looks good, there's no scratches. I don't care about doing under the wing either.